technical death metal from Ploiești under the label of Sadaya, and the release is called Epophany of Life, released in 2018, I think, by Loud Rage Music. People have asked me a long time ago, why don't you review this band, because it's one of the most interesting releases into the Romanian underground death metal scene, and I kind of postponed it for 2 years, I think. Sorry for that. But you know, there are different listening cycles, and when you are into a different kind of death metal approach, you should wait for the right moment when you are in the mood to review not just technical death metal in the classical sense, but also technical death metal with a lot of other ideas and nuances. I wouldn't call them exactly influences. And to start with the very beginning, this is the cover of the material. A very select gallery of people that have contributed to this one. Actually, it's a fucking brilliant cover done by the famous Romanian artist Costin Chioreanu from Twilight 13 Media, and of course the manager of Sadaya is the famous distributor Titus Constantinescu. And let us just take a look a little bit at the artwork in here. One of the best death metal covers in Romania, and I suppose that the demand for t-shirts with Sadaya was very high, especially due to the great work of art that Costin Chioreanu did on this cover. So a little bit of a glimpse on the inside of the release. Lyrics, quite interesting lyrics, quite thought-challenging lyrics, and of course a picture with a gentleman that came up with this rather unique concept into the Romanian underground death metal scene. 5 gentlemen from the city of Ploiești, Prahova County. And it pretty much goes like this until the end. So the same graphics on the inside of the booklet. And if we take out the CD, this is the artifact as such. And now the inside of the CD, not of the city, pretty much, I don't know, little bit of less interesting drawing on the interior side of the CD, and also a little bit of a less interesting drawing on the back side of the CD. But anyway, as I said, the cover is fucking fantastic. But to be a little bit malicious in the start of this review, they should have done a little bit of a better job inside the jewel case, because in my opinion this is kind of a wasted space, just some green stuff or green leaves. And I'm not saying necessarily to criticize this kind of approach, but what you can see in here when you take out the CD is not just a space that you fill with whatever you want to fill, and they just filled it in here for the sake of filling it, but this is actually a valuable advertising space or valuable promotional space. And basically they should have put some extra catchy elements in here and take advantage of this this space inside the jewel case. So yeah, kind of a missed opportunity, especially in a stark contrast again with an absolutely great cover done by Costin Chioreanu. And once again the picture with the five musicians that have that came up with this extremely interesting and extremely thought-challenging release. And Epophany of Life is a release that has a lifetime of 32 minutes, if I remember correctly. And if you open up the page of Encyclopedia Metallum, you see an interesting thing, namely that Sadaya doesn't really follow the, let's call it, normal evolution of the bands, in the sense that you release a couple of demos, EPs, singles and other shits like that, and only after a while you are able to come up with the actual record. No, they kind of skipped all those things, demos, EPs and singles, and they released the full length from the very first attempt, which in my opinion is a laudatory thing to do and something that should not be overlooked. I'm not denying the importance of demos, EPs and singles as far as the evolution of a band is concerned, but here we are dealing with experienced, talented and visionary enough musicians that are capable to, you know, do not complicate themselves with demos, with singles, with EPs, and that are really fucking capable of bringing up a really solid full length from the very first attempt. And only 32 minutes means that they are also capable to synchronize and synthesize their ideas in an extremely short time span, which once again is another testimony to the fact that they are real professionals. And of course this is a very big plus. A big plus that perhaps other bands, I don't know, they need to work a lot in order to reach this level, but once again, to make your debut with a full length and a high quality full length with a lot of ideas packed together or crammed together inside only 32 minutes is, in my humble opinion, quite an achievement. But I suppose it also depends on the typology of the band. Some bands need more demos, some other bands, they can just do it from the first time, which it kind of tells me that, you know, they are professional listeners and professional string players and vocal players and so on and so forth, because yeah, doing it almost perfectly from the very first attempt is something rare, but we can be very happy that it happened in this case. How should we start the review? I always consider Sadaya to be kind of a mysterious band, but a mysterious band that knows how to write, how to play and how to produce a dance, but at the same time a very well ventilated and spacious death metal release. And actually Epiphany of Life, and we will explain the title at the end of this material, Epiphany of Life is one of the best produced materials into the Romanian underground metal scene. Here the production is unusual for the Romanian underground metal scene. We are talking about a production that is clean, heavy, bombastic, and done with accuracy, with finesse, and also a production done with visionarism. And what I mean by all these things is that it is a production that allows each riff to resonate in a clean manner, creating a massive enough sound. So each riff resonates in a very clean manner and creates a massive enough sound, a complex enough sound in only 32 minutes, which is quite impressive. Although, and this is also very important, the music itself, or the music in itself, does not need, you know, too much production polishing to support the violence of the ideas displayed in here. The music as such, I would say that it can at any time stand out on its own without production, as the executions are done almost flawlessly and are done not only by the book but also with that special value of a quest, to discover reasons and potentialities for, and I quote the name of the song, for carving into the stone flesh of God. So yeah, once again, the production is done in a very professional way, but also with that special sense of a quest to discover reasons and potentialities for carving further and further into the stone flesh of God. And the way I understand this metaphor, carving into the stone flesh of God, the way I understand this metaphor inside the death metal technicality is to be able to find the reason and potentiality for using some truly innovative breaks and some nice superpositions that can turn emotional and compositional aberrations that you can find in many other death metal releases. So using some innovative breaks and some very nice superpositions that can turn emotional and compositional aberrations and some comatose states into horny and horned. So yeah, horny and horned creative formulas that go way beyond the simple fusion of genres. And from this point on, this will be a little bit of a different review, because from a technical point of view, everything here on Epiphany of Life is strategy and methodology. A strategy and methodology aimed at symbiosis. And by symbiosis, I mean they are aimed at a very catchy and gripping symbiosis, symbiosis in ferocity and in stylishly refined and well-dosed intensity. Methodology and strategy as a single functioning unit, much more than individual performances or moments of personal brilliance or individual spotlights. So it is a functioning whole unit, in Romanian un tot unitar funcțional, a functioning whole unit like a full X-ray, into compositional strings. And that is why we will kind of try to take an overview of the music without insisting too much on the separate instruments as we usually do. So there never is a stationary mindset at play in here. What I mean by never stationary mindset is that it means that the music develops slowly, allowing for each passage to come to full fruition, and for the most part of the transitions occur with a lot of grace and ease, you know, like the subtle changes on a train of thought. And the changeover or the evolution, you know, between passages, it never kind of feels forced in any way, because the execution is right there all the time. And because the balance between subliminal and explicit passages is perfectly tuned to a continuous march towards the detonating elements, or towards the detonating parts. So once again, both the subliminal and the explicit passages are perfectly tuned towards some sort of a continuous march towards the detonating part inside the death metal logic that is played in here. Very or extremely, if you want, important aspect I could not fail to notice is that there is a direct and very evident connection between the personality of a song and the quality of the structure of that song. So again, a very strong or a very direct connection between the personality of the song and the quality of the structure of the respective song. And although many elements in this music, many elements, although they catch you by surprise, in the end everything blends together evenly and in a vicious way. Vicious here meaning that sort of a total fidelity and pure ingenuity in relation to the sickest and coldest human drives. And the advantage of using viciousness as fidelity and as pure ingenuity is that it always leaves the nuances intact. So if you do what they do, if you use the vicious element in the sense of fidelity and in the sense of ingenuity, then you leave intact all the nuances that you bring into your music. You do not dilute them, or you do not disperse them. This is, I think, the real definition of viciousness, leaving intact the nuances that you work with. And I think that in this way, or this way of proceeding is the one which lends this album a very individual appearance and makes the whole music be satisfyingly or agreeably transparent, because it is a very transparent individual appearance inside the Romanian underground metal scene. An interesting enough, if you want, aspect that worth being taken into account is that inside each and every song, many things give the start signal very early in the song, and the thought-provoking elements are used very, very early on a song, or on each and every song. But despite this fact, the level of the guitar-induced graphical effects does not decrease or does not decline as the song progresses. So I think that the aim of this approach is that of creating moments of extreme melody, or moments of melodic radicalism. Yeah, there is a splish and splash of this and of that, and many different touches, and many different dashes, and many different nuances inside this technically constructed and technically designed Eye of the Storm. But still, what keeps the music alive and what can be highly appreciated in here is that the musicians are at no moment afraid of detracting from the path that they themselves carved for their music, and you can easily hear fast full throttle riffs, rough around the edges blast beats, amazingly forced leads, amazingly forced leads that would make the cut while getting tedious. So they are amazingly forced leads that can make the cut while getting tedious in a way, and this is actually a great gimmickry inside death metal, and also very strong openers for songs, many eccentric details and things that revolve around brutal tremolo picking, but all of these things are always kind of in a win-win situation. But as a general trademark, I would say that the band combines lacerating death metal with some technical predilections for that progressive sludge of neurosis, kind of arranging everything within dynamic song structures. And the dynamism that is obtained in this way is a dynamism obtained by means of various fusions and various speeds used in unexpected or in, if you want, innovative ways. I mean, like truly innovative ways. As two minuses that could be discovered in here. One minus is perhaps the fact that one cannot really fail to notice that the feeling of the guitars remains extremely cold, because, and as I said before, here we are dealing with strategians, with methodologists of death metal, and not so much with death metal insane sentimentalists. And the second minus that I've noticed is that the guitars are continuously scratching the surface. This means that the guitars are continuously scratching the surface, it means that the guitars are kind of dominating the voice. The guitars kind of always tend to assume the driver's seat inside this music, so the guitars are always higher in the mix than the voices, and the guitars are always enforcing themselves upon the voice, or they are governing the voice, or they are even commanding the tone of the voice. And maybe this wouldn't be such a big problem, but the guitars impose themselves on the voice in a very cold manner, in a very rough and edgily cold manner. But a very sympathetic, or a very supportive, or a very encouraging, or call it as you want, aspect worth mentioning in here is the voice. Now this kind of made me smile a little bit. How should we analyze it? Now let us try to remember that dark, dense, impeccably morbid, operatic and evocative death metal growls that Daniel Clepsinagoe did for My Shadow from Timișoara on the album called Non-Existence, an album released in 2006, and on that I think epitomic release in the Romanian underground metal scene, Daniel Clepsinagoe did the death metal vocals kind of like this. Now the idea is that you can find a somewhat similar attempt in here. I mean a glottal and protuberant deep projection that makes ample aesthetic use of evocation in the vocal styles used by Sadaya. As I said, glottal and protuberant deep projection that makes ample use of evocation to the point where it almost sounds backwards, and to the point where you almost feel, the air push through the speakers when the vocalist is playing. So the death metal growls of Sadaya kind of sound like this. Anyway, and to all intents and purposes, these kind of voices are ambitious enough so as to try to run all the frequencies of a spectrum and gain some sort of permanence. Gain some sort of permanence. If we are to make a comparison, not like a temporary tattoo, but like a die-hard tattoo. This is what permanence inside the death metal voice should be about. So we are talking about primal, unavoidable, dense, and capable to reverse engineer the entire structure of a song voices. Capable to reverse engineer the entire structure of a song kind of death metal voices. Pretty much voices that resemble the act of listening to a demigod lion. Not just any kind of demigod lion, but a demigod lion that is kind of willing to impart power to the listener, because as you know, obsession and infatuation with power and with strength have always been a core value of the death metal genre, and as such this kind of death metal growls are the types of vocals that can reinforce the significance of an entire song, or reinforce and bring a new semantic value to the significance of an entire composition. And they do reinforce the songs, and they do bring a new semantic value to an entire composition, not as side effects but as main effects within that structure of a song. If we are to draw some conclusions about Epophany of Life, I would say that there are no particular missteps in here on this record. There are no blast beat voids that go nowhere. There are no vacuous emotional incoherence. There are no forgettable filler parts, and basically there is nothing like an useless feat or like a useless bite on this entire release, and there is absolutely no moment of mainstream factory stamped passage. It's nothing like taking the leftovers of so many other bands and of making all those leftovers swim and fly inside their own music. No, absolutely nothing like this. This is original and extremely personal stuff. And from the point of view of the technicalities used or present in here, and from the point of view of the production, this is almost a flawless album. Because, as I said, here we are dealing with pedagogues, with methodologists, and with strategians of the death metal genre. And even the death metal voices in here are done in a technical, strategic way. So technically, or technical-wise and production-wise, this is one of the best produced albums and one of the technically impeccable releases into the Romania underground metal scene. So technical-wise and production-wise, as a final mark, this can go as high as a 9.7 for this kind of things, but this is only one point of view. From the point of view of the emotions, this is kind of an abstract music. It is a little bit of cold material, a little bit of cold material based on geometrical structures, and also on geometrical meditations and introspections, and even based on some abstract demonic invocations, because there are a couple of demonic invocations on this album, but they are also done in a kind of an abstract way. So emotion wise, the mark would be a solid 8. Now if we are doing the math between a 9.7 for the production and for the technical skills, and an 8 for the emotional echo, or for the emotional involvement of the band, if we are doing the math, 9.7 and 8, I think the result would be an 8.8. Coincidence or not, the very name of one of the most interesting songs of this release, which is 8. So yeah, the final mark for Sadaya Epophany of Life is an 8.8 in perfect resonance with the song called 8. So yes, what you kind of remain with at the end of the audition is a very opulent output, a very bombastic and megalomaniac output. Something belonging to some musicians that have created their own way of playing death metal. And as I promised in the beginning, we have a very complicated album title called Epophany of Life. Apophenia, I think, is the right pronunciation of this word, is a human tendency to perceive some sort of connections or meaningful relations or meaningful patterns between unrelated entities, or between random things, or random objects, or random ideas. So yeah, a tendency to to perceive a connection or a meaningful pattern between random things, random ideas, between things that maybe are not naturally connected inside themselves. Now, honestly, I cannot really tell if the term epiphany is used in here in a ironic way or in a critical way. I have had the advantage of listening to the record very many times, but still I cannot tell if they use the term epiphany in a critical or in an ironical way. But be it as it may, an epiphany an epiphania is exactly what they are doing on the whole album at a technical level. Whether they used it critically or ironically, the technical structures are tributary to epiphania. And this kind of epiphania at the level of the technical structures, it works. It really works, and it kind of really gains a unique life of its own. Although, truth be told, a reserved life of its own, a subtly discordant life of its own, and a somehow shy and elusive life of its own. So yeah, this was the long or short story of Sadaiah's 2018 release called Epiphany of Life. Many people have asked me to review this material, and yeah, of course, why not? Happy 1st of December to everybody.